Sea of Thieves, the online action-adventure game by Rare, released to a mixed critical reception last year, with the majority of reviews calling out the game for skimping on content and a dearth of variety. But how much has it changed between now and then? Welcome to the first of many installments of Now and Then, in which we'll be exploring various games as service titles and seeing how much they've changed since their initial launch. As you've probably gathered, we'll be kicking off this series with the popular multiplayer pirate simulator Sea of Thieves. Upon its original release in March 2018, our very own Dan Webb reviewed Sea of Thieves, giving it a solid 70 out of 100 on XboxAchievements.com, summarising that Rare's game has the potential to deliver some great tales cruising the high seas, but a lack of content and a limited number of activities ultimately held the game back. Since our review went live, Sea of Thieves has been lavished with countless updates, making it a far more fleshed out experience compared to the one that Dan first got his hands on at launch. The question now is, how has Rare gone about fixing some of the biggest criticisms the game initially had, and has it ultimately worked out for Sea of Thieves? While Sea of Thieves had a paltry selection of tasks for players to do when the game first debuted, the game was a little too open-ended and relied heavily on emergent gameplay. While it introduced some fun mechanics like treasure maps featuring riddles for players to solve in order to find buried treasure, it was very much lacking in properly structured missions or quests that could be taken on by the player. After solving the first few riddles provided by treasure maps, it would quickly become a bit of a repetitive chore, especially if in the open seas you didn't have any players coming after you, or better yet, the Kraken attacking your ship. Thankfully, that's now no longer the case. One of the biggest new additions to Sea of Thieves are actual quests called Tall Tales that players can pick up, and these aren't just some trifling text-based things that Rare threw in either. Each quest begins with one of many NPCs delivering a good old monologue telling you all about the adventure you're about to embark on, setting the scene for the swashbuckling voyage that lays ahead. On top of that, not all of these quests are a simple copy and paste job of the treasure map tasks. One of the Tall Tales actually has you solving proper Indiana Jones style temple puzzles in order for you to acquire a decent bit of loot. Adding these focused, structured quests is exactly what Sea of Thieves needed to reel players in and keep them hooked. Another criticism that Rare has addressed is the rarity with which players come across other enemy NPCs. Before, you'd only really be scared about the potential of coming across other players. The Kraken was such a rarity that it was legitimately like an in-game myth. If you boot up Sea of Thieves now, you'll quickly learn that there are many more dangers floating about in the open seas. Ghost ships now frequently sail around ready to sink your ship and haunt your crew, sea monsters are everywhere lurking in the deep blue, and the Kraken is definitely no longer a myth. Both the new quests and enemy NPCs coupled together help to make the open seas a lot more interesting, and not quite so lackluster like it was when the game first released. If you get yourself a decent crew, you'll find yourself no longer relying on random events to make Sea of Thieves an interesting experience. Adding a bit of structure and a little more danger doesn't take away from having one-off random events that form emergent stories that you can share with your pals. It just emphasizes them. Of course, there are still a few other new additions to the game, such as the new Arena PvP mode. If you're someone who thrives on competition and love the aspect of finding players on the open seas to take on in battle, the Arena is the perfect thing for you. This competitive multiplayer mode pits up to 4 teams against one another as they all try to gather as much treasure as possible while attacking other crews to steal their treasure. It takes the core concept of Sea of Thieves and makes it a lot more streamlined for players thirsty for pure competitive play. And if you're someone who simply enjoys finding buried treasure at your own pace or just exploring the many islands that make up Sea of Thieves' vast open world, then you can continue doing so in the normal game mode, safer in the knowledge that some of the more aggressive players are more likely getting their kicks in the arena. Over the last year, there's been various free DLC updates called Festival of the Damned, Forsaken Shores, and the Cursed Cruise. Each of these added a few twists to Sea of Thieves, such as being able to change your ship's lantern colours by visiting the Ferry of the Damned, and AI skeleton-controlled ships that we briefly mentioned earlier. While each update added more events for players to take part in to further expand on the lore of Sea of Thieves along with Tall Tales, they still fall prey to the same issues that the game had at launch. Each event is very much a rinse and repeat sort of job. There's not a lot else to these, sadly. Despite all of these new additions, Sea of Thieves still has a few issues that have persisted since day one. Vital aspects like the lack of progression and no real end goal in sight. While obtaining gold is a lot more fun when doing the Tall Tales quests, what you're able to do with that hard-earned gold afterwards is still pretty pitiful. Although there are a whole host of items that could be purchased to customize your bespoke Buccaneer with, there isn't really anything there to make you feel like you're progressing as you earn piles of glittering riches. Even with the trading companies which let you level up your rank, unlock special cosmetics, and even acquire the hallowed title of Pirate Legend, when you're sailing the open seas, let's be honest, that title is essentially meaningless. As we all know though, this could all change in another year's time. Who knows what else Rare has up their frilly pirate sleeves, but it still needs to add some meaningful progression and something worthwhile to spend your gold on so that you can truly feel like you've earned the title of Pirate Legend. Let us know in the comments down below some of your thoughts about Sea of Thieves and how much it has changed over the last year. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Rosera Network.